Okay, everyone. So I'm under the assumption that you've all already been to the previous two workshops where we went into Google Analytics. We help you set everything up with Google Analytics 4. We may have helped you set up some of your Google Tag Manager. And then the second workshop, we went through how to read your reports. So we're coming at this workshop as if you've got everything installed, you know how to sort of read those reports. They don't seem as overwhelming, and you've been able to analyze some of the data that's come through. So the question now is, how do you use your sales and marketing knowledge, your target audience knowledge, and press it up against what you know of the data that you have in Google Analytics, and then to start putting together some sort of a marketing plan for yourself. So without further ado, here we go. Okay, so here's what we've achieved so far. Right now, you know how to read the reports in Google Analytics and you don't feel completely overwhelmed. You know how to pull important data on your audience and how they behave on your website. Very important, okay? And then now you're able to see what kind of content your audience loves the most. You know, not just the content that you think they like, but the actual content that they've shown you that they like. Oftentimes I have clients who will build websites. Like they come to me with a website and they say, hey, it's just not converting. It's not what I want. And, you know, when they created the website, it was just with the developer. It wasn't with a designer. It wasn't with a marketing specialist. It was just created something that they thought that they loved, except just because you build it doesn't mean that they will come, right? So relying on hard data as well as, you know, gut feeling, because it's taking you this far, and combining them together can give you a really, really strong base from which you can start to market, right? But the key here is to really know your audience and know what they want from you, right? Because that's why you started your magazine, right? You wanted to share information on certain types of topics. You wanted to be known as the go-to for certain types of things. So now it's time to prove it to them. Okay. So now that you know all of this, here's what you're able to do. You're now allowed to make you are now able to make strategic decisions on the kind of content that you want to publish to ensure maximum engagement. Now you know which advertisers you want to attract and the kinds of packages that you think will sell ad space best, right? And then, of course, the keywords that you want to use to optimize your articles so that you can rank higher on Google and also be accessible, you know, to all the different types of folks that will be on your website. And of course, how you want your website to look, okay? So where do we even start? Okay, we're just going to start with the basics. Social media, the kind of storytelling that really grabs readers. Your website is, you know, the mothership, the personship, whatever you want to call it, but it's the place wherever you want everyone to go to get all the information that they want, right? But just like you don't just follow websites, you also follow social media accounts. So you want your social media account to continue the storytelling that your website does. So how are you best going to do that? Website design. With the amount of information that you all have on your websites, like being a magazine, you really want to have a beautiful, simple, yet you want a simply complex website that shows everything you want, but in a very strategic way so that people are looking at the specific article you want them to look at. They're interacting with other types of content when they scroll, and they see ads when you deem it appropriate. Okay, so that all comes down to design, which then rolls into the user experience. You know, how do you create an online experience that your readers and advertisers and Google's are going to love? You know, in a way, you almost have three markets. For any organization, whether you're a school or, you know, a brick and mortar, you always have two target markets. You have your customers and you have Google, because everyone's online, right? And when you're on Google, you know, and for you all, you also have advertisers, right? So you have three target markets that you're going for, or three types of groups that you need to get past in order to get that sale, or to get that email, to get that sign up, whatever words you want to use. So I'm going to be showing you some of the basics of SEO that you can do on your website and how storytelling, design, and user experience all combines to create a really great, not only experience, but whether or not people are going to want to come back, whether or not advertisers are going to want to continue to sign up with you, right? And the kind of the support that you can give these people so that they stay with you. So here's what you're going to walk away with. Okay, a basic social media plan to attract more subscribers and engage your current readers. And of course, your prospects too, right? Like prospective readers. A plan for how to structure your website so that it looks great and drives subscriptions and readership. Okay, so I'm under the assumption that you have control over your own website, right? Whether it's you quarterbacking to a developer what you want done, you telling them what you want done, or it's you who's actually making these changes. But regardless, you have control. I'm under the assumption that you have control over your site, okay? As should all business owners. And then a basic SEO plan to ensure accessibility, okay, for folks who may be visually impaired or what have you, because this is how Google's going to rank you. And it's also just great to make your stuff accessible, right? And to help you start ranking on Google for your articles. Okay, very simple little tips that we'll do. I mean, each and every one of these 3 points could be its own workshop that I can dive really deep into with you. But since we're just doing a basic workshop, this is what we're going to cover. So before we go into anything, the most important thing is your target markets, right? Markets, okay? Do you know what really engages your readers, and how do you want these people to feel after visiting your website? I'm not sure if you've ever asked yourself these questions, but these are the types of questions that any organization, whether you're an online publication, again, a brick and mortar, an e-commerce store, whatever you are, you have to know who your target market is. You need to know how to engage them, and that only comes from understanding them, right? And how do you want readers to feel after visiting your website? I often liken like a first impression to, like a first date. Like how do you want people to feel when they're talking to you? What kind of experience are they going to have? Are you both going to have with one another when you're together? And are you paying attention? Like, are you reading the room correctly to know what it is they want, right? What content is going to keep them coming back for more? That should always be something that's on your mind, right? The other thing you want to ask is, what do they get out of subscribing with you? I'm not sure if you've ever had that kind of a question asked of you when it comes to your magazine, but I'll ask it, right? So what do they get? Do they get an emotion, a feeling, information? Do they get additional perspective? Do they learn about the cool events and cool places to eat around town? Like, what do they get from you? Because when they give you their email, they're expecting something in return, right? That's a transaction, right? When I give my email up to businesses, it's usually because I want something. Maybe it's a 10% discount if I sign up for their email newsletters, or if I sign up for their text notifications, right? Maybe it's because I really am interested in a specific topic and I want more information on it, right? You always have 2 markets, your readers and then your advertisers. So why should they pay attention to you, right? What value do you provide that no other online publication can, right? So these are the types of things that you want to start thinking about when it comes to your marketing and how you want to show up. So the reason why I say this is, sorry, that's like the wrong number. Anyways, I'll fix that. Knowledge of your ideal client is key because it informs design, because you want to create a website that your clients love, not one that you love. So your clients, that's just a blanket term, your subscribers, your readership, whatever you want to call it. You want your copywriting to inspire a gut feeling. You're all in publication. We all write. Like, I started off as a writer. You want your content to inspire some sort of feeling in a person, whether it's to talk about a very heated, emotionally charged topic and you want to give different perspectives, and you want it to inspire a feeling of, oh my gosh, I need to share this article with a friend, and they're going to share it, and so on, and going to share. And all of a sudden, you're starting to get lots of people on your website because you knew what to write about. You knew how to position the copy. You know how to write headlines, right? And as writers, we all know this, but I'm not sure if it's ever been put to you in this way. Have you inspired a gut feeling? Because if you haven't, people aren't going to come back. And this is not something that you've never experienced before. You, as a consumer of products, services, content, feel the same way. If a restaurant's website doesn't inspire a gut feeling, I'm not going to take my person there for our XYZ number anniversary because it didn't inspire it in you. I'm not going to continue on to this website because they don't get me. It's not exactly what I expected, right? You are not different from your subscribers and the people that you want on your website. So you need to inspire that gut feeling. You need to figure out what that is. And that comes through understanding your target market. And of course, you know what wows them. You know how to create a user experience that they can't get enough of. I'll have lots of examples in this workshop. Okay. And this comes down to not bombarding them with a whole bunch of articles right off the bat. You want them to focus in on one thing. Then you want to start categorizing other types of content that they want to look at. That is an experience. That's like walking into a store, right? Does it smell good in the store? Is all the clothing organized correctly for you? Does it take you through searching for an entire outfit? Does it make that easy, right? So these are the types of things that I want you to start thinking about for your website. When you have all this data from Google Analytics, when you have all these comments coming back to you from your articles, it informs your decision making. So let's start first with social media. This is where we first start the storytelling outside of your website. So how do you want to show up? Storytelling begins with headlines, really juicy headlines that people read and say, oh yeah, that's totally for me, right? Oh yeah, I totally need to read this. Oh my gosh, I'm going to save this article. I'm going to email it to myself. I'm going to share this with a colleague. I'm going to share this with my best friend, right? It all starts with headlines. It could be a very simple headline. It could be a more complex one. It could be a really mysterious one, like that kind of like, ooh, what is that? These are the types of things that you as a storyteller need to take into account. And then, of course, hooks. These are like the one-liners or short strings of sentences that are catchy and play to the pains of the audience. When I say pains, I simply mean the things that are going to interest them the most, right? People don't necessarily read anymore. They skim, right? So having really good headlines, subheadings, really smart, snappy little one-liners here and there, it keeps a person engaged. Just like you want to be engaged when you're interacting with content. And then, of course, design, right? A cohesive feed that looks great and encourages someone to slow their scroll. People are amoebas. When they're scrolling, I used to be on social media a lot. I'm not so much anymore. My life is very private, but of course, with my business, I have to be out there. So when I'm scrolling and I'm trying to see what's new, what's hot, very few things catch my eye. But when something does, I take note of why it caught my eye. And you should be doing the same. Because when you know what catches your eye, you should start thinking about what you think is going to catch your audience's eye. What kind of headlines in your graphic are going to do that for a person? And then, of course, before we move to examples, be a little bit different. You never know, you might like it. Okay, so I don't know how much you all are on social media, but it's definitely a place you want to be. Whether it's Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever, like Reddit, wherever it is you want to be. Videos always do really well, so a place to do that is Instagram Reels. You can also do video on Pinterest. I think we can even do it on LinkedIn now. Facebook live streams. These also are a really great way to involve your partners and access their community. So, for example, I was talking with one great magazine called Create a Stir. Awesome group there. They were talking about how they can involve their partners more. So let's say they have a partnership with, I don't know, for example, Bart on the Beach, like the Jazz Fest or whatever. Maybe they want to do a live stream with their partners over at these organizations just to start getting hype going. Because through doing that, you get to access not only your network, your community with a different type of media, you also get to access your partner's audience that you would, and I mean, why wouldn't you want to have access to their audience and their community? And it's all free, right? So these are the types of things that you want to think about, different ways to engage your audience and to engage people outside of your existing community, because you want to grow, right? And you want to grow with people who have similar interests like you. And that's how you can involve your partners, your advertisers, your writers, right? You want to show your audience that you have big names connected with you. I hate this example, but it usually works. It's like being in high school again and hanging out with the cool people. Like, I was personally not one of those cool people in high school, so I wouldn't really know. But from what I've seen and witnessed and observed, when you hang out with the cool people, you tend to be cool by association. So when you start associating your magazine with other organizations that have a really big following and a really big community, it can only end up as good for you, right? So let's look at some great examples of social media accounts that tell a story with their design, because it's through telling a story with their design that they are able to drive people back to their website, because that's the goal, right? You want to be able to push people back to your website, to read these stories, to engage with your articles, to share these with folks, to comment, right? So Bon Appetit is a food magazine, and they do stories and highlights really well on their Instagram. So let's have a quick look. So you can see here, this is their feed. It's not the most cohesive looking feed, but hey, they got really beautiful photos. They got some fun people in there. How to win Gen Z. I mean, that's a pretty good headline. That would make me slow my scroll. That's a very sharp color that will make me stop. And when you say Gen Z and cringe, I mean, Gen Z is a group that, I'm still trying to figure out, right? So you can see here that they do stories really well. They involve their writers. They've really done a good job in sharing things. And their reels, they have really great reels that are super fun. You can see that some are just super organic, and they just play, and it's not a big deal, and it's not perfect. Other times they have captions on there, but they do a really, really good job. You can see how many readers or how many people have viewed. You can see here, this one's got over 500,000 plays, and it's how to make bread, right? And you can see here, this one only got 7,000. So you can see here that this wasn't as loved. My guess is because it didn't have a person in it. People like seeing people. Don't know why. Maybe that's just they feel like they can see themselves in there. Who knows, right? But you can see that there are several here that performed really, really, really well. And see another one with a person. It's also got 500,000. This one's close to 1 million, right? So just different things that you can do. They don't have to be perfect. They could just be like on the fly. You just start editing. You put in some headlines, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Do we have any questions? None yet. Feel free to pop them in the chat box if you so feel. So Vanity Fair also does a really, really great job, but they do it with their live filming. So they often do funny interviews. They also have guides that they've created, which I think is fantastic, where they curate a whole bunch of content, and they've only done it once, but it was extremely well received. Hold on, let me just get out of here. How do I get out of here? Let's go there. So as a magazine, you can start creating guides. It's completely free, right? And it's a great way to curate content in a specific category that you want people to look at. This one here was an awards insider, right? You can do things for food. If you're a social justice magazine, it could be climate issues, it could be BIPOC issues, gender issues, whatever it may be. So there's a lot of different things that you can use given what you know about your target market, given what you know about the kind of content that they always go to, right? You get that all from your Google Analytics. And then there's travel and leisure. These are larger magazines, and I'm only showing you larger magazines but I am going to show you some smaller magazines as well. But I just wanted to show you what the big folks are doing, because travel and leisure does a really great job with experiential marketing. It's like, this could be your trip, right? Can't you imagine yourself here? Isn't this gorgeous? Oh my gosh, what if this could be your view? Look at these gorgeous trees. We don't have them here. This is what you could be eating. This is what your nighttime could look like. Like, they do a really great job of that. And something like this private jet trip takes you around the world in 22 days. I mean, this isn't something that I would click on because it's so far outside of my own life. But I like certain things. Like, I love this lost culture things. Like, this is totally my jam, right? And I like being able to know that I can go into here and, geez, look at all these things. And sometimes it's just fun to be able to see what's out there. But they're fantastic at creating the experience for people. They just know how to do that. And this kind of expertise didn't just come naturally to them. They had to figure out what worked, test out certain things. Bon Appetit magazine. I mean, I'm pretty sure that whoever's running their social media knows exactly which ones perform the best. And it's usually with people in them, right? They're not dumb. They know this, right? But they also want to create some fun, kitschy things. I mean, there's a little noodle dancing across the screen. That's pretty fun, right? I would stop for that because I'm an amoeba and that looked interesting, right? Let's keep going. And if you haven't already done so on your social media, sign up for a link in bio. So what is a link in bio? A link in bio, okay, let's see if they have it. That's a like shop. Yeah, they all use like shop. So I use a link in bio, or I use Linktree. So just give it a second. Oh dear, what's happening there? Okay, so you can see in here, this is my social media. I have a Linktree. A Linktree is basically just where you want people to go. Like, you can create a little link that they click on. It takes them to maybe all your key articles for the week or for the day, different things that you want them to see, right? That's all up to you. You can see here that I did like a Mags BC shout out that I'm going to be here. So you can see that there's lots of options when it comes to your social media. It just depends on how you want to do it. But I do recommend a link in bio, a Linktree, a like shop, whatever it is that you want to do. Let's go here. So let's talk about design now for your website, for your magazine. So if you want to convert, these are the key things, regardless of whether you're a magazine or brick and mortar. These are the key things that you want to be able to think about, because this all creates an experience, right? How many times have you ever clicked on done a Google search, clicked on a website, saw it, was like, and you went out right away, right? Your market is not different from you. If you don't look the way that they want you to look, or in a way that is easy for them to navigate, in a way that they want to have information shown to them. I mean, if you don't know that, you better start studying your analytics pretty quick, right? Because have you made it easy for your readers to do what you want them to do? Is that read this article, click on this beautiful ad, sign up for like subscribe to this with a beautiful pop-up? Like, have you made it easy for people to do what you want them to do? Is your brand's voice, tone, personality everywhere on your site? For example, like Create a Stir, like Stir magazine, they have very specific colors they use. They have very specific fonts they use. They have a very specific layout that they use. I mean, how is that coming out in the kind of feeling that you want to inspire in your audience? Right? Because how do you want people to feel when they're reading your articles, interacting with ads, clicking through your site? Have you made it easy for people to go to separate categories, right? And where do you want people to look first? Do you want them to look at a featured article that someone had to pay for? Do you want them to look at a sponsored ad that's right, boom, at the top of your website? I'm not sure. Like, what do you want, right? And of course, is your website mobile friendly? Because my guess is that a lot of people are probably going to be on their phones looking up certain topics, or you're going to be sending them like a weekly email. They're going to click on something, they're having lunch, and they want to be able to have a great experience on their mobile device. So maybe you haven't thought about that, but you should, because that's a really big search engine experience ranking factor that most people forget about, but needs to be kept top of mind. And are people wowed by the design and layout when they land on your site? Does it just look beautiful? Are you good at choosing really great images? Are your partners just giving you really, really great stuff? Are you being choosy, right? And if they submit artwork to you, you say, you know what? I don't really like this. Can you give us something else? I get my clients saying that to us all the time. You know, when we're doing something really, really big and we're tweaking things and we want things to look a certain way, of course, these are the types of things that you should be demanding and asking and requiring of the content that goes on your website. So here are some sites that tell a really great story with their design and headlines. So this is Nylon Magazine. I just thought it was kind of fun because I looked at this, and I'm sorry if cannabis isn't something that you're comfortable with, but I didn't choose that. But it was just, kind of cool. Like, I really like the way this looks. I mean, am I going to click on it? Maybe. Maybe, but I just like the way that it looks. And I like how this, when pressed against each other, looks so different. It's like two different stories that I'm looking at, and they are, right? If I continue to scroll down, there I've got an ad. Here's the latest. I'm looking at her first or them first, and then I'm seeing all of this, right? Then you've got all these little trending items. You're going to scan them. This is a little bit small for me. I'd probably make this a little bit bigger. But then it, really nice backgrounds. You can see that they did a really great job with their layout and mapping out. Okay, mapping out the experience that they want to give people when they scroll. Because basically the question remains, have you shown me enough good stuff to make me want to scroll further? Is that not the same way that you also behave too? Have you given me enough good stuff on your homepage that I want to continue scrolling? Now, this becomes less relevant when you're on mobile because you're forced to scroll. People already know to scroll. But when you're on desktop, if you didn't get me in the first second, I'm out, right? That's just like how you behave. Let's look at Thrillist. Okay, so I liked Thrillist. I didn't like what they did here because it takes too long to load. And yes, I was recently on Sephora because I was buying my mother some skincare. Okay, so now I see a Sephora ad. Not a big surprise to me. But this is Thrillist. And I like this magazine because, this dream job will send you on a free trip with your best friend. Yes, please. Their titles are a little bit long. Their headlines are a bit long for me, but not bad, right? But I mean, book dinner and drinks aboard a luxury space balloon. I mean, that's pretty hard for me to say no to. Road trips, and they give me really cute little place for city guides. I think this is awesome. I can continue scrolling. They made that really easy for me. I would have done little dots down here to be even more obvious. But yes, I want to go to New Orleans. I want to go to Philly, and I also want to go to Phoenix, right? So these are, and look at these little cute ads. It's a bit busy, but it works for them. Those ads are starting to bother me though. Don't know if you saw them, but it's just a really nice organized experience. And they're not a huge magazine, but they know what they're doing. Okay, so this is Wax Poetics. They are very cool. So, Wu-Tang Clan, I grew up on this kind of music, but, very clean and organized in the way that they drop their content. I'm not a big fan of the font that they use, okay? And I'm not a big fan of how small it is, but to each their own. But look at this. When I click, isn't that cool? And then boom, I am now hit with a, don't you want to join? Here's what you get. It's a little small, a little light. It needs a little bit of love, but I can enter my email here. It takes me to another list. Do I like this? Not really. I would have rather have just entered my email on here and been done with it. But that's the experience that they have created for their clients. And to be completely honest, they probably lose half of their subscribers because of this. Maybe not half, but maybe more, maybe less. But I don't like the fact that it took me to another page to enter my information. So just think about that, the kind of experience that you're offering. So those were some examples. And now I'm going to get into keywords and on-page SEO. Does anyone have any questions thus far in terms of social media, web design, anything? No? Okay, fantastic. So keywords and on-page SEO. These are the basic things that Google looks at when they are indexing a site. Here's something that you should know. Google is going to be crawling websites less. What does that mean for you? It means that you have fewer opportunities to showcase your expertise, right? Like, are you an arts and culture magazine? Are you using keywords in your articles and optimizing your articles for your association with Bar on the Beach or with, for example, Gabor Mate if you're into social issues and all that stuff? Like, are you using these types of keywords on your website? I'm not sure, right? Do you have metadata in your website? Are you doing image metadata for accessibility and image rankings? It is not uncommon for an organization or for a creative organization like a magazine to get found for their images before they get found for their written content. I once worked with an interior designer who had obviously tons and tons of photos in their portfolio. We got them ranking within 2 weeks for just their images for interior design in Surrey, right? And interior design in Langley. Just from their images. And then 2 weeks later, their website ended up coming onto page 1, right? I mean, this was years ago, but it just shows you how strong images can be for a website. So what I'll do is I'll show you, we've got a question here. Should the articles that we publish in the mags be written for web or SOMI? What's SOMI? What do you mean by that, Jim? And I don't know what you mean by written for web. Oh, social media. The articles that you write for your website should be there to create value for your audience. And what you write on social media is a way to draw eyeballs from social media onto your website, right? He means the print mag that we publish in the mags. Okay, right. So you write your articles as you write your articles. You write your articles because they provide value. You've got an awesome headline. But when it comes to social media, when you go from print to social, people behave differently, right? People are usually on their mobile devices. So you're going to need to make your headlines smaller, maybe. You're going to need to make your graphics even punchier. You're going to need to have headlines in your graphics that are going to be really, really big, right? So, so the transition from print to social media, yes, there is a big difference. There's going to be a huge difference. So let me give you some examples. So I can show you some stuff that we've done on Instagram just for some other clients and just other organizations. So this is a cannabis organization. They have 6 big, huge brands underneath them. And you can see that we use headlines very, very carefully. You can also see from here with, let's say, Hollyhock, we use headlines very, very carefully. Okay. And we want to be able to be seen. So this is Olivia Chow. We create our graphics very, very specifically in order to get registrations for programs. Is this how it looks on the website? Not necessarily. Are the names the same? Yes. Will they see these colors? Maybe not, right? The website is very different from social media, but they all are linked. Nothing works in a silo. I find print headlines sometimes don't translate to web. Neither do I. Sometimes they need to be shorter. Sometimes they need to be punchier. I mean, if we were to just even look at my own social media, not to say that mine is like the be all end all, but I have and mine's a little wild, so don't be scared away by that. But it's like 4 tips to grow your social media. Up-level your website with this trade secret. You can also pin certain posts to the top of your feed if you want them to read certain things. I've got Mags BC. I know I look very, very giddy and happy in there. That's what my designer chose, and so it shall be, right? But you can see that I do headlines quite frequently. Like, people don't buy products, they buy results, right? So I use like sales information, like headlines very, very specifically. And yeah, so just remember that when you go from print to web, the punchier you can make your headlines, the better, right? And the prettier you can make your graphics, the better, right? So you can see this is what they use when they're on their magazine. Social media is a very, very competitive space. Your inbox is also a very, very competitive space. How many times have you ever just done a mass delete of your website, of your inbox, because nothing caught your eye? But then sometimes you'll get one email where you're thinking, ooh, this is pretty awesome. Ooh, I like this. I want to read it. You'll unclick that one, and then you'll mass delete all the other ones, leaving that one particular article ready for you to read right now, or you save it for later, right? So these headlines have to be sharp, juicy, and relevant enough to make people slow their scroll. Just like it is with email marketing. When you send someone the weekly digest, maybe you don't want to call it weekly digest, right? Maybe you want to call it something else juicier, okay? Because that just so happens to be what hooks people. So I'll show you, sorry, it's hard for me to. So for example, Tory Burch, this is one email: sustainably crafted classics just for you. Your new favorite tote is waiting for you, right? So we created all these graphics. We created all these headlines. So think about what kind of subject line you have. So you've always been the one. So don't make yourself wait any longer. So you've always been the one. We were hoping that would make people think, I've always been the one for what? So, just try to be fun and eye-catching with your headlines, because otherwise it doesn't matter how good your content is. If they're not grabbed by your subject line, you're already done. For a deeper dive into online writing, you can check out Kim Pittaway's video, Getting Clicks Online with Social Media Display Writing. Totally. So this is what we do. Is the screen being shared? Yes, I think so, unless you were sharing. Okay. Okay, awesome. So that just kind of gives you an idea. I mean, every day we work with clients on how to get more conversions, right? So this is no different. This is very annoying. Trying to move it. Sorry, folks. Okay, so let me show you on my website how I do metadata and keywords. So for you, we would simply keep it really, really simple. So whenever you have a post going out, let's say how to up your Instagram game. So some of the things that you can do, and I'm assuming this is how you set up, you're allowed to set your categories. You're allowed to set tags, right? As additional categories within which people can search for you. You should also have some place to put in some SEO data, right? So this is your SEO title. This is your meta description. So this is a fancy way of saying, what do you want to call it? Because when people scroll over here, you see how that shows up? Emily Line Marketing Strategy at Emily Chow Marketing. That's your title, in case you've ever wondered. And you can set that right here, okay? This information, this description, okay? So I'm competing with all these different people. So let's see if I show up there. Hot tip. This is in social media. Awesome. So you can see here that for some reason, I don't know why, they didn't take up my, my description here. I'm probably gonna have to figure out why. But this is where things show up. Like right here is your meta description. That's where it shows up in an organic search. So you as a business owner have control over all of this. You're also allowed to set in your keywords. So whatever it is that you want yours to be like. So let's do an example. Let's go to an example magazine and let's see what they've got here. Okay, let's see what's happening here. So you can see here that they've got all of their information. This goes underneath. Their category is theater. So if I were to click on theater, you can see all the different posts that they have in theater. Okay. When I click on here and I scroll up to here, you can see that that is the title. That is what shows up. Okay. If I go to social media dashboard, you can see here that this is the meta description. This is the title tag. So you're allowed to set all of that. Okay? You're allowed to set all of that in your metadata. Okay? And your metadata, it simply means a fancy word for saying all the different touch points that Google looks at when they're showcasing you to your audience. It's also a way for Google to be able to see what you're an expert in, right? For a magazine, they're probably going to want to highlight the words Happy Valley, Fire Hall Art Center. So they're going to be wanting to use these as keywords. Okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, well, there you go. I show up first. So you can see I've got 12 done for you caption templates if you don't want to write them yourself and you don't want to have to start from scratch. Thanks. Well, there you go. So you can see here, you can see the meta description there. You can see the title tag there. And then you can see here, I've got my URL and my slug, right? So as you can see, you can set all of that here, and that all adds to your first impression. You can also see here with featured images, you can put in your alt text. So your alt text is basically if your image was ever broken on a screen, or if someone who is visually impaired is wanting to know what that image is all about, it'll just read out happy group of women looking at a computer. So it gives them context into the type of image that they're looking at, right? So I called the title, How to Up Your Instagram Game with Emily Chow Marketing. I've got a description in there, How to Up Your Instagram Game with Emily Chow Marketing, read now. So you can see that that was the featured image, and that's how we named it, right? So this is all the things that you can set within your website that will help you get ranked on page 1, or at least page 2, or for whatever it is that you're looking to get ranked for. So keywords for your article would be events at fire hall, what's that? Fire hall arts center, right? So that might be what, and let's see. So you can see here, Do 604 is showing up first, Vancouver's Best Places, Instagram, Songkick, Ticketmaster. So looks like the only one that was able to, the only few websites that were able to show up were Do 604 and Vancouver Best Places. So you can see that these are the two organic event listing sites that were able to rank for events at the Fire Hall Center. So for example, Laura, create a stir, or stir would want to be able to rank for these keywords. So the words that you would use in the back of your website, like down here, would be events at Fire Hall Center. So you'd put that in and you would add the keyword. And obviously, I'm not going to use that, but that's what you would use, right? You would also use words like Happy Valley, Hong Kong's democratic reality. Maybe that's one of your keywords, right? So you're able to put that in. And when it shows up here, right? So you can see here, and you can see right here, these are all the descriptions that show up here. So you're allowed to edit all of this. You're allowed to set all of this, right? And then therefore have a first, hey, can you flip back and forth? Can you show? Oh, yes, for sure. So let's say that they're in their website, and I'm assuming you use posts for your article. So you would simply click on the article that you want. You might be using Yoast. I like to use Smart Crawl. So what I would do is hang on 1 second. I just want to click on done. Okay. So you can see here that I've got Smart Crawl in there, and you might have Yoast. And then you can go in here, set all of your titles, and your titles are what shows up right here. So when you hover over that tab, it also shows up here. This is your title. Sorry, pardon me. This is your title, right? This will be your title. Your meta description, this is what shows up right here. Okay. And how do you know if you use the right, so yes, click on post, go to the post that you want to edit, and just make sure that you go to your SEO, whatever plugin that you use. And then you can add in the information to those specific areas. And specifically, you want to edit the title, the description, and then the keywords. The keywords for your magazine are going to be different from those of a business. Okay. The keywords for your magazine will be the organization. For example, for Stir, it'll be the place where it's going to be at. It'll be the name of the event. And then it'll be just whatever other keyword that you want, right? But usually it'll be the name of the event and then where it's being held. Can you test if you use the right keywords? I can go into a 1-hour conversation with you all about choosing keywords, but at its base level, the ones that you want are going to be the event name, for example, if you're an event organization, and then it'll be the place where it's going to be at. When you're searching for keywords, if someone wants to pop in their magazine, and I can do a quick one for you right now, if you're interested. Right now, I'm just using Stir as an example because it's a really easy example to use. Okay, towcanada.ca. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, cool. So this magazine is about cars, about automobiles, about trucking, towing. Okay. So some of the keywords that you might want to use would be like luxury electric vehicles, right? So if you were to, I mean, it will be perfect, but luxury electric vehicles, you can see that, Car and Driver magazine is big, Forbes will be in there. So you're basically seeing what other keywords are popping up. Another thing that you can do is, if you want to get very specific, see what else shows up here. This is Google's intuitive autofill. Okay. Okay, it's a trade publication. Oh, no, that's not a trade. Okay, it's about towing. Okay, island parent. Okay, awesome. We can get into these since we still have some time. But this is Google's intuitive autofill. Okay, so without going into great detail on how to use Google Search Console, or how to look up Google Keyword Planner, you can just look here to see what's hot in terms of keywords. So you can use this on your own trade magazine for Tow Canada. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Let's go to islandparent.ca. Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is cool. So self-care for moms made easy. So let's go here. Self-care for mental health, self-care for kids, self-care for caregivers. So you can already see here that there are some keywords that you might want to use. Not only do you want to use these keywords in your title and in your meta descriptions, you also want to use them in your content. Not because you're trying to stuff keywords into there, but simply because it's a natural keyword that would show up. Okay. And you can see here that when I say keyword, I usually mean key phrases. It's very uncommon for someone to put in the word mental health. It's usually someone who puts in the word, let's say, mental health, and it's for something. Sorry, mental health, mental health week, guide to mental health first aid. You can see here what people are putting in mental health for. So you can see here for teens, for kids. There are forms. I had no idea. So just different things that you can put in there. The Capilano Review. Okay, the Capilano Review. Okay, writing and art. Awesome. So what did you say here? The Capilano Review is a Canadian triannual literary magazine located and published in Vancouver, BC. Cool. Let's have a look. Whoa. That's a blurry image. I would work on that, and I would make it smaller. That's really hard to read. That's a lot of information in really big text. I would make some of it smaller. Okay, so here, this one here, Billy Ray Belcourt would be a keyword. Brandy Bird, Benny Xiao, they would be keywords. Readings. Let's see. I'm not sure what this is about. It's about monthly reading series. Okay. I'm not sure what this is about. I'm not sure what they talk about. So I would really have to know who these people are and to do anything about that. We have 3 minutes left. So does anyone have any other questions? Maybe I can. Do you use any online keyword ranking tools? Yes. So one of the things that I like to do is I simply like to do the Google Intuitive Autofill. I like using that. I also like to go to Google Keyword Planner, and this is free. Moz is also free, so Moz is a great place to go. So let's just try Moz. You can do a 30-day free trial if you want. Google Keyword Planner. Oh boy, they've just made this really. Hang on 1 second. They haven't made it as easy. Free keywords. Okay, there we go. Go to Keyword Planner. Okay, yep, we can go to this one. So in here, okay, this is going to be a little bit more challenging. So if you already have a Google keyword planner set up, you can go and look in there. Sorry, I only have 2 more minutes to do this. Free keyword research tool. Okay, so the ones that I like, you do have to sign up for, but I like SEMrush and I also like Moz. You do have to sign up for them. They aren't free. WordStream is free. So what you can do is you could put in things like mental health, find my keywords, choose it for, let's say, beauty and personal care. Let's do it for the United States. Oh, 1 more minute. Hurry up. We will go into Q&A. So, but WordStream does give you some free keywords. They're okay. You can see here that they are connected with Google Ads, like Google AdWords. And with Google Keyword Planner. So and then you can see how competitive certain words are. I like to stay in the medium category. I like using like low ones for like blog articles and whatnot. The ones that are really, really high are really competitive. So it just sort of depends on which ones you want to rank for. But this is definitely just the basics of SEO. So yeah, and that's the end of today's workshop. There are going to be tutorial sessions that Sylvia will email you so that you can see what tutorial sessions are available. So this is, I can go through keywords with you. I can have a look at your site. I can do an audit, make recommendations. The audits are going to be really, really helpful for you. It'll simply be as if like you're a client, we're going through your website and I'm just rapid fire giving out all the different types of suggestions that I would have for you. So which would be super helpful. So be sure to sign up for those if you have a chance. You'll get a ton of value out of them, like marketing, audits, all of that stuff. I'll show you how to use your keywords, where to put in your metadata, since today was just a short workshop. Okay. This popped up right away, and I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. Looks like I can scroll. Oh, okay. Never mind. Pro trucker, driver's choice. Funny, I used to work with a trucking company, a factoring company in California. Okay, so driver's choice. What is this? So this is just a place that's, you have job postings. Oh, okay, so it's a place for job postings. Okay. All right. You know what I would do? I would keep your main hero image here very simple, and I would just say, like, looking for a job, boom, have your categories, have all your drop-down menus and search now. I wouldn't have this. This is really distracting because you just want them to do one thing, which is to look at the jobs and then to search a job. So I would take away all these scrolling things. I would have it have one headline and direct them right to this. That would be my recommendation for you. But some of your keywords might be trucking jobs in Calgary, Vancouver, Surrey, Langley. So yours would be very specific to that. So you have a print magazine as well. Okay, I mean, I'm not sure what you have in your print magazine. You probably have articles on what's happening, what's new in trucking, in factoring, in whoa. Okay, so yeah, I would keep this super simple. Yeah, I would keep this super simple. Your e-magazine. Okay. If you want people to look at your e-magazine, I would make that very prominent on your website. I would get rid of this because I don't know what this is. Have a proper pop-up. It's not, you don't want to have a pop-up show up right after you land. But this, if you want your e-magazine to be bigger and more prominent, I would probably put it on the side, or I would put it somewhere in here, but I would just make it more visual, especially if that's where you want people to go. But if your bread and butter is in hooking people up with different jobs and whatnot, I would make that decision quickly. I don't know how I don't know what happened there. Okay, so, but yeah, I would try to organize the site a little bit better in terms of that. Okay, and Sylvia, yes, the e-magazine seems like an afterthought. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I've been told that so Jim Schneider, I have been told that a site that has many articles coming in has issues with SEO, i.e. lots of posts with Island Parent. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like, if you have Google Search Console connected to your website, you will get notifications on your website if you're having issues, like maybe your text is too small or certain links are broken. So that will definitely show up for you.
I could jump in here. What I've been told is because we publish, 10, 15 articles every month, the SEO isn't getting a chance to actually grab them because there's new ones coming in all the time. They said that was kind of one of the concerns from what I've heard from an SEO. And do you have any experience in that, or does that make sense?
Someone said that to you?
Yeah.
Huh? Never heard of that. It's not about keeping up. It's about organizing your content. It's about you giving Google the best experience with your website, which means naming all your photos, having all the alt text in there, choosing the right keywords, making sure that your content is skimmable, making sure that when someone reads one article, it's super easy for them to read additional related articles, right? That's very sweet. I would do your directory in a different color, just an FYI. But I mean, I don't think that's an issue at all. Because your site has a lot of this on here, I can see how that might be an issue maybe for, okay, it just disappears. That's good. It might be an issue for SEO, but I mean, if you're just built on a basic, like a WordPress theme or like whatever type of, Squarespace theme you're on, like that information will be available. But no, I've never heard of the fact that if you have too many articles coming out, that's a problem. If anything, that's really good for you. I think it just comes down to how well you're able to optimize all your content, how well you share that content across your other social media platforms, other partners that are sharing your content, people that are featuring your content in their newsletters, give and take partner relationships and things like that. But no, I've never heard of Google penalizing you for too much content. I can see them penalizing you for stuffing keywords and using keywords that have nothing to do with your article. Definitely you'll be penalized for that because you're lying, but not for putting out lots of content. If that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And you've also got a really great, the mom community, the parenting community is such an awesome community that, showing up, it's a great opportunity for mom or dad influencers who want to write on your site for you to also leverage off of their audiences, because they already have a huge following, I'm assuming, right? So if they submit articles to you and their articles get featured, you can bet that they're going to be sharing it a ton on their own social accounts, and then driving them to your website. That's awesome. So driving traffic for you won't be hard, right? I think it just comes down to web experience. How easy is it for people to sign up for an ad package with you? But driving traffic for you shouldn't be an issue, right? Because you're in an area or in a niche that is where sharing is encouraged, loved, and done by default. If that makes sense. Keyword specificity, like just the types of keywords that you use, like self-care for moms, that's a long tail keyword and a great phrase to use. You also want to share your links with other organizations, just like what Sylvia said there, links back and forth. I mean, this is a huge like SEO thing that everyone wants to be a part of. Like everyone wants to have their stuff featured on, you know, different huge articles. It would be great if, you know, parents.com is also a big one. So you can see a lot of influencers, a lot of big people posting on there. They often have their own like blog or their own like website that goes back and forth, and they're just referring links back to you. So it's a good place to be. So one of yours would be online parenting resource, would be a great keyword for you. So if you have a Facebook group for your for island parents or whatever organization you have, do some live streaming. Works really, really well. It can be done remotely. This is something that a lot of like people are doing, and it's getting awesome results because you're now able to share audiences. So you're now able to reach people who you've never reached before. You're able to have, you know, people with large audiences on your, like, share your name and step behind your name to boost you up, which is fantastic. So that'll really help with your SEO. SEO is a very big concept. It's not just keywords. It's all about how people engage, trust, how Google engages and trusts you, and showcases you to their audience. So it's a really big topic. And we can do like a whole session just on that. So
how important is page speed? I've heard page speed's important one.
Extremely. So if we were to go to here and we were to put you, this is just one of the basic resources that we have. So let's see. Let's see what your performances are. This takes a little while to download. So everyone, pagespeed.web.dev. This is a Google tool, and it tells you how your website is performing. So you can see here, it gives you recommendations for how you can get things to be fixed. I mean, and these are all pretty easy things to fix. So your desktop score is 93. Great job. A couple little things. That's easy enough to fix. Your mobile is significantly lower, but that's okay. It's not hard for you to get it back up. But yeah, it looks to me like you're really doing your best, but you know, you're probably going to need a really good developer to help you with the rest.
What's the number for mobile? Like I've heard desktop should be as close to 100, but mobile is 70 a number I'd heard.
Well, I mean, like, look, if I were to put my website into this, I would get a terrible score for mobile. But that's the price that I pay because I want to have lots of things on my website, right? Like I've got, you know, chopsticks and lots of things moving because my website becomes almost like a portfolio piece.